Girls, tell me about a time where your quick thinking probably saved your life. I'll go first. 2 years ago, I was walking my dog at the park, and a man approached me and asked to take a picture of her. And I said yes, because why not? It's a picture of a dog. So he starts taking a picture of my dog, and then I realized that he was like holding up her collar, and then it hit me. My address is on that collar. He's not taking a picture of my dog, he's taking a picture of my address. So I told him that I actually didn't feel comfortable with him having a picture of my dog, and I asked him to delete it. So he deletes it and then like starts walking away really fast. And I was like, "Excuse me, sir, no, could you also go into your deleted album and delete it from there?" And he goes, "I don't have a deleted album." And I was like, "You have an iPhone, everybody has a deleted album, could you please delete the picture?" And he was like, "Sorry, I don't have a deleted album," and like keeps walking away. And keep in mind, this is like 2 PM in a park, like there's other people around. So now I'm like chasing after him, and I'm telling him, "Sir, I know you have the album, I will show you where the album is, can you please go onto your phone so that we can delete the picture?" Oh, part 2.
Okay, story time. So I work at a jewelry store, and today a man came in looking for a gift for his wife for their 10th year anniversary. He ended up picking out a piece that said, "My beautiful wife." And I said, "Anything else for you today?" And he said, "No, that's it for her, but I do want to make another purchase using a separate credit card. And could you possibly create a different account for me?" And I said, "Sure, what are you looking for?" And he said, "Do you have anything that says girlfriend?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Perfect, I'll take it. And do you have anything that says happy 1-year anniversary to go with it?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Perfect, I'll take it." So I boxed everything up all nice and I put them in their respected bags. He had me mark a K for Kristen on the bottom of his wife's bag and an L for Laura on the bottom of his girlfriend's bag. I put pretty bows on them. I handed it to him. I said, "They're gonna love it. Have a nice day." And he said, "Thank you." And shit, I just remembered that his wife's name is Laura and his girlfriend's name is Kristen. I must have mixed up the bags. Oops.
When you go home at night, don't turn your lights on immediately after you get in your apartment, especially if people can see the windows of your apartment from the street, because if someone's following you home, they're gonna know what apartment you live in. When I got home tonight, I got out of my car and there was a man getting shit out of his car. I had never seen him before this morning when he was in my apartment complex area, and he just gave me bad vibes, but whatever. I got out of my car at night and he tries to make conversation with me about my headlight because it's out right now. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know, I just have to get around to it, whatever." I go inside, don't turn the lights on, but I have a feeling to check my Ring camera. He's standing in the street, which is very close to my apartment building, staring at my building, and he did not leave for like 5 minutes. I mean, like halfway through, he left the empty parking spot and hid behind a car, but he waited to see. So now he knows what car I drive and where I live, just not my apartment. So, don't turn your lights on.
Keeping me up at night. So you know when people ask you like, "Oh, what's the craziest thing that's happened to you in high school?" And like usually people are like, "Oh, this crazy party," or like prom night, like whatever. Chemistry lab, year 10. Chemistry lab. I was sitting in the back of the class. I hated that class. Mr. Holloway, if you're watching this. And Mr. Holloway was trying to pour some acid into a beaker or like a big container. And he was saying like, as long as it's stirred slowly, we should see like bubbles and like a slight poof at the end when everything is mixed in slowly. I don't know what the fuck was going on, right? And he wasn't going to like put all of it, I don't think. He was going to only put like a little bit. So, basically I was like, there's this girl that... There's a girl that was sitting in front of me. We're gonna call her Sarah. Sarah's a size medium, but like for fashion, chose to wear like an X small or a small. Right? It's a vibe. Trust me, it was a vibe, and like our uniforms, like it was a vibe. But the teachers disagreed. Right? However, she decided to she will lie out of a cartoon, and no one fucking believes me. But like. Literally, she started stretching and put her arms like... The button popped. Okay, So the button, so the button flew, and it hit the beaker with the acid, and it all make explode. And the fucking button and no one fucking realized it was and I didn't want to fucking embarrass her. I saw the whole thing. I was sitting behind her. I saw the whole thing. And I didn't want to say anything because, like, it's already embarrassing. Like, her shirt's open now. And, bro, I just died laughing. Like, I died laughing. And the only other person I saw it was the fucking creep that was sitting right next to her, that was staring into her shirt. And he was the only one that saw that it was her. And when I told my friends, no one fucking believed me. Not a single person believed me. Because... I got to touch because I didn't want to tell him why I was laughing.
Recently, a group of face painters decided to drag me in the comments of a video. These full-grown adults who claim to love working with children thought that it was appropriate to not only mock my mental health, but also call my painting kindergarten trash. Did it bother me? A little bit, but to be honest, I don't know any of these painters at all, so their opinions are fairly irrelevant. The point of this video is to talk about the reasons that they gave as to why I'm such a trash face painter. I learned fairly quickly that you guys really enjoy watching me paint in real time. Whether it was a 60-second video or a face paint story time, you guys really enjoy watching the process. So I taught myself how to paint pretty efficiently using both hands, and I don't use a mirror. I only use my selfie camera. Another thing I had to figure out was how to do a full face paint in 60 seconds using wet, water-based paint. The most popular comment that they made about me was that I did not know how to load my brushes properly and that my paint was always way too dry. This honestly made me laugh because the thing that they zeroed in on is a thing that I 100% do on purpose for TikTok. When I'm painting in real time for a video, I need things to dry really fast because I need to be able to put the next color on and not have everything turn into a big muddy mess. The way that I combat this is to use less water when I load up my sponges and my brushes. If you know what you're looking for, you can definitely see that my brushes drag sometimes in my videos, but this is how I've adapted to be able to paint in real time in my videos. The other reason that I wanted to address this is because drier brushes and sponges is not the standard, and it's not how I do it when I paint kids, so I wanted to bring it up. And if those other painters think that they can do it better, I would love to see a 60-second face paint backwards, only using your selfie camera as a mirror, use both hands, and don't forget to tell a really detailed story at the same time. Have a great night, everybody.
I uninvited my brother's long-term girlfriend to my wedding 12 days before. My brother had been with his girlfriend, whose name is also Sarah, for about 4 years. Their relationship was a little bit strange, but I'd always quite liked her. We kind of had minimal interaction, so there wasn't much for me to go on, but from what I had seen, she was all right. Now, the reason we hadn't met her that much was because they're from two very different religions, and she couldn't introduce her family to him because her family would pretty much disown her. And I was very understanding about this. I thought it was quite romantic, a bit like Romeo and Juliet. So whenever someone would bring it up, I always had her back. But unfortunately, my dear Sarah ended up having a little run-in. You see, Sarah had a very swanky flat in South Kensington, and she'd throw quite lavish parties from time to time. She'd never invited me before, but this one time she invited me, which I thought was a little bit odd. It was a Halloween party, and she asked me to bring my makeup kit with me. I'd only just started doing makeup at this point, so I was really honoured, and to be honest, I was looking forward to having a little bit of something to put in my portfolio. So I turn up, and I kind of stand in the corner like a member of staff. I do all of her rich friends' makeup. No one offers to pay me or tip me or anything, but again, I'm not that worried because again, I want these pictures for my portfolio. We head off to a night out, and to be honest with you, it's not my cup of tea. You could probably see that on my face. So at some point in the night, she kind of tosses me her keys and tells me if I want to go, I can. It's not the normal Sarah that I'm used to. There's no pleasantry. She doesn't seem best impressed that I don't look impressed with her swanky party. I think it's a bit odd, but I'm not bothered. I get an Uber home. When I get there, I take my makeup off and I go to sleep on the sofa. And around like 4 a.m, they all come in. Sarah starts to scream. She's not happy because I'm asleep on her sofa. Her ugly green sofa. Because that sofa, apparently, I would come to find out, because she screamed it at me, that sofa was in fact more expensive than my car. She actually said that. You couldn't make it up. She genuinely said that. So her and my brother start to have a fight, because obviously he's not impressed with how she's speaking to me. He storms out, and she tells me to go into her room. She literally spoke to me as if I was like a 7-year-old child who was being banished. I'm like, whatever, I just don't want to be thrown out in the middle of Kensington in the middle of the night, so I'm quite happy to go and get in bed. And to be honest, I would have gone in her bed in the first place, but I just thought it was more polite to sleep on the sofa. Anyway, a few days later I get a text message, she's very sorry, she'd had a lot to drink, blah, blah, blah. And I'm willing to let it go, I'm not that fussed. And as you can tell, I love to tell a good story. And I've really enjoyed telling all my family about what a weirdo this woman is. I was actually working in one of my brother's offices at this point, and we were really close. And one day, right by my 21st birthday, he rings me up, it's on a Saturday. I've literally just finished my last client, so it's about 6 p.m. And he asked me, did I want to go to Heston Blumenthal's restaurant? If you've never heard of this restaurant before, or this person before, don't worry, you're not alone, because I hadn't either. But those of you that are foodies will know that this restaurant costs about £500 per person to eat there. My first reaction is absolutely not. I do not have that sort of money, and even if I did, I would not be spending it on that. See, I'm saving to go travelling at this point. And I have just had my best Saturday on record in terms of doing makeup at the weekends, and I've made approximately £570. So even though I'm feeling like an absolute millionaire, my answer is a firm no. However, he goes on to tell me that him and Sarah have booked for 4 places at this meal, and because you have to pay a deposit to go there because it's so expensive, they're actually going to lose out on £200 because their friends can't go. So because of this, my brother's willing to pay for me. And I'm like, are you sure? It's a lot of money. He also wants my other half to come, so it's going to be like £1,000. He's like, of course, it's your birthday, of course. So I'm like, wow, this is a big thing. But to be honest, I'm also really knackered, so I just want to go to bed. I ring my husband, who's my boyfriend at the time, and I tell him the situation. And he's completely honoured that they would offer. So we agree to go. This restaurant is about an hour and 20 minutes from our house, so we literally have to leave right then and there in order to make it for 7:30. We get there, and the meal is as to be expected. It's completely like out of this world, nothing I've ever seen. They even like give you headphones and stuff to use for each dish. And I'm quite grateful for those headphones at certain points, because this girl is really grating on me. She's made several comments at this point. Things along the lines of, I could really do with some Botox. Bear in mind, I am 21 years old at this point. She's not a looker herself, to be totally frank. She also makes some other very direct digs. She says that when her and my brother do get married, she will not be changing her last name because she doesn't like the name Sarah Humphreys, which is my actual name at that actual time. And the more drunk she's getting, the meaner she's being. Me and my other half had already decided not to drink. We didn't want to take the mick. When the menus came over and we saw the prices, we were certain we're definitely not going to drink, so we just stuck to water. The night continues. She carries on getting drunker and drunker until she's slurring her words, which is all very embarrassing. And at some point, my brother goes out to smoke and my husband goes with him. And we're left alone. I get my phone out because I'm trying to look busy. I do not want to speak to this woman. And she doesn't want to speak to me. She calls the waiter over and she asks for the bill. The waiter brings the bill over and she divides the bill. She looks at me and she says, your half is £1,000. Now the boys are nowhere to be seen, and I have no signal because this restaurant is in the middle of nowhere. I would come to find out that my brother had convinced my partner to go and buy cigarettes with him, so they weren't coming back anytime soon. Now at this point, what I should have done was let her know that my brother had promised to pay for me, but I didn't. I didn't want to be known as a freeloader. So I reached in my little purse and I pulled out all the money I'd made that day. and then I put the rest on a credit card. And I never spoke about it ever again, apart from to my partner, who I cried about it to, who sent me the money, bless him. Me and my partner end up going travelling after this point. I completely stopped speaking to my brother. I don't want anything to do with this little toxic relationship that they've got going on. We end up getting engaged, we set a date for our wedding, and my mum and dad kind of send like informal invitations out to all our siblings. And they don't tell me that they've also put that they can bring them other halves. I think they did that on purpose. So I found out 12 days before that this Sarah had actually been invited to my wedding. She thought she was going to come. She really thought she was going to come. So I decided to let her know. And it causes a massive fuss because she's already bought her shoes and her hat. And I really hope that she ended up wearing those Jimmy Choos somewhere really nice. But she didn't come to my wedding, and it did in fact cause them to break up, which was probably the best thing that ever happened, because now he's married to another lady who's lovely and they have a beautiful son together. And I gave her a little Google this morning just because I was interested. I hadn't thought about that story for a while. I don't need to say more. I uninvited.
So I was talking to my mom the other day and I was like, who was your maid of honor? Because I didn't know. And I expected her to say someone I knew. And she goes, oh, you don't know her? And I'm like, why? She was like, because I don't talk to her anymore. And I'm like, why not? She goes, I actually don't know. I have not seen her since the year after our wedding. I was like, tell me everything. This tea is 35 years old and it's the most piping hot tea I've ever heard. So my parents got married young. Like my mom was 20, my dad's 23. They have this couple that are their best friends. Let's call them Patty and Dino. I don't know if that's her real name, but I think that is his real name. Patty's my mom's maid of honor. So maybe a year after they get married, they all go to Florida together and they're staying at my grandparents' condo. So the first night they go out to a bar on the beach and they have a great time. Like my parents remember it as like a memorable, fun night. Anyway, next morning they wake up and Patty is not talking to my mom. And although my mom thought this was weird, she didn't read too much into it because she's like, whatever, maybe everybody was just severely hungover. So that couple wasn't trying to hang out with my parents that day. So my parents said, fuck them, let's go to Disney. So my parents drive to Orlando. They go to Disney for a couple nights and they get back. Patty still isn't talking to my mom. And Dino's not talking to my mom either, but Dino is talking to my dad. Patty's talking to no one. So they go to the beach. Dino and my dad are talking. No one's speaking to my mom, minus my dad. At one point, I guess my parents are like, okay, we're gonna go get lunch. Do you wanna come? And they're like, no, we're good. And by them, I mean Dino said, no, we're good, to my dad. So they go for lunch. When they get back, the second they get back, the other couple stands up and goes for lunch. So my mom's like, okay. They get back from lunch and then my parents go, okay, we're gonna go back to the condo. And Dino says to my dad, oh, we're gonna stay here for a little bit longer. My dad says, okay, I'll come pick you up at 4 o'clock at this street because it's 1989, whatever, just meet me at this. Parents go back to the condo. My mom says to my dad, I'm gonna pick them up from the beach. And my dad's like, okay. Dad goes and takes a nap at 4 o'clock. My mom goes to the beach and they're both standing there. They see it's my mom. Without saying a word, both of them get into the back seat of the car. So my mom's now driving them around like a taxi driver. So now in her head, she's irate. She's also insane. So on the way back to my condo, there's a roundabout and she starts going in circles around the roundabout. She goes around the roundabout like 15 times because she's like, surely they will break this silence to say, what the fuck are you doing? You've been driving in circles for 10 minutes. But no, they don't say a word. So they get back to the condo and my mom literally gets out of the car and looks at them and says, pack your shit. Lou's taking you to the airport. And they start freaking out, which is hilarious. So they're freaking out. She starts crying. They're like, Christine. She's like, nope, pack everything. You're loud. Goes to the room. My dad's asleep. She goes, wake up. I kicked them out of the condo. And apparently she was laughing too. My dad's like, what? And she's like, I kicked them out of the condo and you have to drive them to the airport. My dad's like, what the fuck? So he wakes up from a nap. He goes out and Dino's going, Lou, I'm sorry. Like my wife, you know, she can be like a little funny sometimes. My dad's like, yeah, sorry, man. Like if she says you gotta go, like now the wife's on the patio sobbing. She's asking my dad if she can apologize to my mom. And my mom is inside going, no, get in the fucking car. My parents take them to the airport. 1989, no flights, no phones. You're not figuring anything out till you get there. Dad leaves them there. Sorry, did I say my parents took them to the airport? I mean, my dad took them to the airport. My dad leaves them there, never saw them again. Heard through the grapevine that they got divorced a year later. Still don't know what the fuck her problem was, but the assumption, I guess, is that her husband was hitting on my mom that night or something. She was nuts, who knows? Anyway, that's the story of my mom's maid of honor. Isn't that juicy? This gets to her. What was your problem, bitch? So I was talking to my mom the other day and I was like,
tell me your craziest 1 in a million story. Something that happened to you that you just can't believe was real.
So my dad always wanted a son. He just kept trying and he just couldn't give up. I have 3 sisters. He kept trying. And then there was me. I was finally born. I wasn't supposed to be born on the day that I was born. I think my due date was earlier or later. I forget. But my dad, the day that I was born, he had to cancel work. And the day that he had to cancel work, he had a security meet on the 101st floor of Tower 1 of the Twin Towers. And I was born on September 11th, 2001. So my dad didn't go to work that day, and he got a baby boy. Oh.
One day, my cousin made a Tinder, and we were having a family barbecue, so he came over. He was like, oh my god, Sam, like this really hot girl just like matched with me. And then he shows me. And then I see the profile and it's literally pictures of Madison Beer. But the name on the profile was like Kalani. I was like, bro, I don't know who you think you're fucking texting, but it's not Madison Beer. You're texting someone's fucking auntie right now. Whole ass auntie. He's like, guess we're about to find out. I was like, no, what the no? He's like, yeah, I just gave her the Addy. She's about to pull up. Like, we're gonna meet. Like, it's all cool, Sam. Like, trust me. Trust me. Trust me, he said. Okay. I trusted him. So I see a car pull up, and he's like, oh my god, I think it's her. I was like, oh shit, what if I do meet Madison Beer? The door freaking opens. And this old lady pops up. I look at my cousin, and I'm like, go! Go hug her! Go! You were so excited. It's Kalani. The one and only. Come on.